This afternoon, there's a major threat to Ghana's food security as local crop production faces a double hurdle of imminent fertilizer shortage and predictions of prolonged drought. Government has revealed it may not be able to meet even half of the budgeted fertilizer for this year. This revelation comes just days after peasant farmers threatened to move away from the production of grains and cereals following the 15% slash of subsidy for fertilizer by government. Speaking on the business edition of PM Express on the Joy News channel, Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Alfred Poindu, said the Russian-Ukraine war is partly to blame for this.
Those two countries together, I think, account for over 60% of the world supply of chemical fertilizer. And chemical fertilizer is in short supply all around the world. We started not today from the era of the COVID, the outbreak of the COVID pandemic. So the war broke, yes. Even before the outbreak of this war, we realized that the cost of fertilizer were going up before the outbreak.
How bad is the situation?
At the moment, it's very bad because what we budgeted for fertilizer supplies for this year in the 2022 budget, I can tell you that the amount that we require, we may not be able to supply even half of it because of the price differentials. We are doing some serious consideration of a whole lot of things.
He's, however, saying that government is encouraging the local companies to shore up their production of organic fertilizer.
Little that we will get, we will ensure that maybe they don't cross our borders. Like while the ministry intends doing, and the discussions are still ongoing, we want to encourage a lot more the production of a lot more of the organic fertilizers, because locally there are companies that are producing organic fertilizers. We want to encourage, and then at the same time, the uptake of such organic fertilizers will depend on the kind of education we do with our farmers. Our farmers are so much used to the inorganic fertilizer because of its application and the immediate results that they get. And so that is the main task that the ministry and allied agencies must work around. Do they have the capacity to produce the amounts that we require in this country? No. I mean, we need to build them up.
Meanwhile, the Meteorological Agency is predicting a slightly longer dry weather period for the 2022 farming season. A late onset of rains and mostly normal cessation are also expected. For Ghanaian farmers, the forecast raises a red flag. So what can be done to mitigate the impact of this adverse weather condition? Here's Deputy Director for Research and Applied Meteorology at the Ghana Meteorological Service, Francisca Mate.
We expect a longer dry spell and then normal to late cessation. It means that we can get dry places at the coast because we're expecting below normal to normal cumulative rainfall. So we can get dry places at the coast, but the middle belt, we're expecting normal values. But the problem will be if we are having breaks within the rainfall that are longer than normal. If you have longer spells, it means that we are going to have a bit of a challenge because our crops will need consistent equal rainfall amounts. If it rains today and then there's a long break and then rains again, the crops don't need that. We should use more of irrigation, and then the dams around us, we should use them to start before the rain setting. Otherwise, then it's going to push our cropping season a bit late, and that will not augur well for us.
We can now speak to the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Kariwa, who has joined us via phone. I'm grateful for your time, Edward Kariwa. Now, the sector, particularly crop production, faces tough times ahead. First, what do you make of the measures that have been announced to keep this under control?
Well, let me say good afternoon to you all. I think that the measures have come rather too late. And it's very difficult to have a good impact from those measures. It is late into the day to call for the production of organic fertilizer, as though it takes just 1 week, 1 month to start producing the organic fertilizer. It's not going to happen so sudden, so immediate, because it requires the deployment of resources. It requires the deployment of raw materials, and then other costs to be able to produce the organic fertilizer in the quantities that we need within the short period. And that is not going to materialize, because in the short period, it is not a viable solution.
So, but definitely that's what is happening right now. How are you preparing at your level for the season?
Well, farmers will depend on their own, and just as they've been doing all the time. But individual farmers will have their own approach, but that's not good enough, in the sense that once they don't get the chemical fertilizer, because either the fertilizer will not be available in the market, or where you find it, the price is beyond reach. The gestation period that is needed to produce organic fertilizer cannot be breached. What is left to a farmer is to be constrained to produce the quantity or the number of acres he or she has been doing for the period. We just have to cut it down. So this is the challenge. Farmers on their own will try to do what they can, but that's at micro level, that is at individual level, and they cannot do much. So production is going to actually come down. Output from each production will also have to come down, because they will not have the necessary fertilizers to apply on them.
All the best, Edward Kariwa. He is General Secretary of GAU.